What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another Heart Over Height episode. Today we're going to be talking about big news around the league, talking about Dejounte Murray. So if you guys do enjoy this video, do me a huge favor, smash that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment down below on who won this trade, whether it was the Hawks or whether it was the Pelicans. With that being said, let's jump right on into it. So starting off, right, let's just break down the trade and then we'll go from there, and then we'll discuss who won, who lost, all that good stuff. So the Pelicans get Dejounte Murray from the Hawks in exchange for Larry Nance, Dyson Daniels, a first-round pick from 2025 that was the Lakers, and a 2027 first-round pick that used to be the Bucks or the Pelicans is what it says. Now this was reported by Woj. Trusted source, of course. So first initial reaction, I was like, damn, the Hawks got a little fleeced, you could say, right? Let's break down the depth chart right here. So, you know, if I'm someone that's like looking at the Pelicans roster for Dejounte Murray, I'm saying that I would like, yes, they got Dyson Daniels and the 2 first-round picks, which is like 3 young assets, we'll say, but I would have gone for someone trying to get somebody like a Trae Murphy or a Herb Jones in this deal, or Jordan Hawkins. You know, Dyson Daniels been in the league a little bit, just a couple seasons now, and hadn't really shown a whole lot of upside from what I saw, like as somebody that I'm looking to trade for Dejounte Murray, a guy who you gave up 3 first-round picks to go and get. I don't really see. I would have tried to get Jordan Hawkins or, Trae Murphy or Herb Jones to pair alongside. You know, you had the number 1 all pick. You took Rashashar, however you say his name. You took him with that number 1 overall pick. So it's like now you're taking a risk on Dyson Daniels. And then those 2 first-round picks. Now, of course, those are picks that we see the Lakers, right? We don't know. We're assuming the Lakers are going to be better versus worse. So their pick's probably going to be more in the 20 range. And then the Bucks, you know, the Bucks 27 pick, that would be my desirable one of the 2. Just because you look at, you know, I mean, if it ends up being the Pelicans pick, then it'll probably be around the same as this Lakers pick, around the 20s. But the Bucks pick, if it ends up being that, in 2027, you're talking a pick that'll be, you know, Brook Lopez will probably be long gone, retired by then. You know, you'll have some of these guys that'll be retired, long gone, or shipped off. You know, will Giannis be happy at that point? You're kind of banking on that. That's 3 years down the road. So, but now we have a roster with the Pelicans. Let's discuss that breakdown first. You got Dejounte at the 1, CJ at the 2, Brandon Ingram for now at the 3, Zion at the 4, and then Jonas Valanciunas for now at the 5. I do assume that Valanciunas and Brandon Ingram will be out the door, leaving the door open for Trae Murphy or Herb Jones to kind of step up. Now, if Jonas is gone as well, they're going to need to get a center back. That's where you could see one of the Isaiah Hartensteins or something like that of the world. Mitchell Robinson will be kind of filling in that spot. Some different center. But this top 5, though, I mean, they look pretty gnarly. Like, it looks like they could be doing some damage here. It'll take a little bit of time, of course, to kind of gel and everything. But, you know, I do like the fit of Dejounte and Zion together, being the number 1 and number 2. You've got the shooter and CJ, Trae and Herb Jones right there. You know, I mean, and then who knows what Jordan Hawkins is a big question mark too, because who knows the kind of leap that he's going to take from year 1 to year 2. He is kind of getting lost in this rotation a little bit, you know, being that third guy off the bench so far with CJ, Trae, and then Jordan Hawkins. I'm a little, you know, concerned that he'll be lost, and then for his sake, that he'll be lost, and then he won't be getting into the rotation. Then that might hurt his confidence a lot. Now, are they done with deals? I would say most likely not. It seems like Jordan Hawkins would be a perfect pair with somebody like Jonas Valanciunas to ship him off. because, the value of how expensive Valanciunas is with the youth of Jordan Hawkins gives some value there. They kind of would work well in Hawkins being that value, and then Valanciunas being that that balance of pay, to match the contracts and everything. So depending on and at this point, will Brandon Ingram leave is another question. I do still think that he's going to be on the way out and everything. They're going to go get a different package. I think they're kind of shaking things up a little bit over there. But, even if this roster stays solid, just how it is, that's a phenomenal roster. I think you do have to clear out Brandon Ingram, though, to make room for either Trey Murphy or Herb Jones. So let's break down the Atlanta Hawks, because they're an intriguing one, because I could see them kind of going on a fire sale here. The only player, obviously the number one pick, they're not going to trade. Rishashar. And then Jalen Johnson, I don't see them trading him either. Everyone else, I could see him on the block. Clint Capella, I know he could be of some value to some teams. You could see Bogdanovich could be some value to some teams looking for three-point shooting, i.e. the Lakers or the Bucks, for example, needing some more three-point shooters over there. Trae Young has gotten a lot of interest. I hope that the Hawks don't just hold on to Trae Young. I believe the experiment has failed. In my opinion, it's nothing against Trae Young himself. I just don't see him as a number one option on a championship team. I see him as a kind of a third option, honestly, because his defensive value is absolutely zero. There is no value defensively, and that is a huge problem because if you think of in the East right now, let's say 2 years down the road, this Atlanta Hawks roster is relevant in the playoffs, going deep in the playoffs, right? You're going to go up against the Celtics, who they hunt for their matches, as they should. They're a team that just plays the game how a lot of teams would play. They hunt the match of, okay, what's the mismatch that we can find? Let's get Trae Young in every action possible. If you look at the finals, that's exactly what they did against Luka. They went against every action possible. When Maxi Kleber was on the court, they went at him. Kyrie Irving, they went at him a lot. Same thing with Atlanta. Atlanta's going to have to realize they're going to have to face Philly, who's going to put him in actions. They're going to have to face New York, who's going to put Trae Young in actions. All these players, all these organizations are going to hunt Trae Young. Now, the best fit for Trae Young would be to go play with a lot of defenders and guys that are a lot longer than him. So we're talking the Spurs would be a really good option for him. If the Spurs can pull off a trade for Trae Young and they go and pair him with Vic, mixed around a consensus of like Keldon Johnson, etc. Now the real question too is Trae Young super valuable? Is his value more than Dejounte Murray? Because we're talking basically in this deal, it's 3 first-round picks and Larry Nance Jr., who is like a salary filler, which, because Dyson Daniels was a first-round pick a couple years ago, we'll consider that. So does Trae Young, and then same thing with Mikal Bridges, just got 5 first-round picks. So Trae Young, what's his value there? I think that they go and try and go get, especially with the Spurs. You go and talk to them and you say, we want Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, and picks. Yeah, you got to get young assets in return. Right now, it's just, if you're Atlanta, you just got to kind of scrap the roster, restart with young assets. Larry Nance will probably be traded around the deadline, I would assume, or because of his contract, he might just be held on to. But yeah, that's going to be the kind of roster where Atlanta's going to be looking, they'll absorb contracts and picks and young talent. That's exactly what they need to do. It's over this whole, let's keep trying it again with Trae Young. We'll go get him another player. No, it's done. Trae Young is not your guys' guy anymore. He's not the Atlanta boy. He is the guy that he also should be wanting to go find another team for his sake. To go play with the Victor Wembanyama's of the world, or go join up in a squad that's going to provide him not a rebuild mode. And now I know what you're thinking is like, oh, the Spurs are in rebuild mode right now, but Trae Young can help flip that. As in like Victor Wembanyama is skilled enough to where they don't need to be in a rebuild mode by the end of this offseason or by the end of this next trade deadline, right? If they make a few moves, they got some money on the books that they can afford to absorb some contracts, they could be looking very scary here. As in, like, they're not needing to let guys grow and develop. They have Stephon Castle, who the guy that they drafted with the number 4 overall pick, he looks like a great defensive guard to put alongside Trae Young. You let Trae Young run the offense. You have Stephon Castle there as a lockdown defender. You have Victor Wembanyama protecting the paint for you. And then you just have a couple spots you need to fill. Like, they're not too far off if they go get Trae Young to where the Spurs could be something legit. Now, if you're the Hawks, right, you're banking on your number 1 overall pick being decent, Jalen Johnson growing. This just gives both of those guys the keys to just go crazy. You start Dyson Daniels, you let him just flourish. They're going to be bad next year. Then you go get another bad pick. Hopefully you can go get like a Cooper Flagg in the draft or somebody like that, to where you can be just getting this young group together and just growing. Kind of like what Charlotte is doing right now. They got LaMelo. Obviously, he needs to stay off the injury report. You got Brandon Miller. You got Mark Williams over there. There are these young teams growing. OKC's doing it. Orlando's doing it. Indiana's doing it. You have a lot of young rosters in the NBA that have proven that if you just kind of scrap what you had, you go off and say, all right, well, I'm the Thunder. Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Carmelo did not work. We need to go get young assets. We'll take a couple years to rebuild, and then we'll be back up. And look at where they are now, competing and making deep playoff runs. So Atlanta has that. The Pelicans are going for win now mode. They are trying to just bring Zion as much talent as they can, have that defensive side of the ball, because that's where they kind of struggled heavily against teams like the Mavericks. They just struggled heavily against teams like OKC in the playoffs. They just got manhandled by the fact that they could not guard a lot at all in that series. So if you guys did enjoy this kind of content, do me a huge favor, smash that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment down below on who won this trade. Overall, I am saying that the Pelicans won it for now. I like the haul that Atlanta got back, but Atlanta needs to do something else. They can't just stay with just this roster here and just run it. This is not going to be a decent roster. This is a bad roster right now that has potential to get better if you start fire sailing Trae, Bogdanovich, Clint Capella. I would say look into trades for Onyeka Okongwu to see what his value is like. He would be someone you could keep, though, because he's young. So, yeah, if you guys did enjoy that content, do me a huge favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment down below on who won, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.